Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Hope you're all doing well. Today we've got a couple of news stories in the world of tech and gaming. First up, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA DLSS and a leak which concerns a new quality mode which we could be seeing in future titles that enable DLSS. Also, Microsoft Flight Simulator is set to get a huge performance update, something that this game has desperately needed since it came out. One of the most gorgeous looking sims and games ever to be made, but the performance is brutal, and getting double the performance in this game or any game is a huge uplift, obviously. But for something that struggles on an RTX 3090 to run at 30 to 40 frames per second, it could definitely use the uplift. So we're going to go over all of that, and also the free PlayStation Plus games for the month of July 2021. I wanted to bring this to light as it's something I've been keeping a track of, as it's a good deal, because being part of the PS Plus thing. So going to share the free games with you guys in case you happen to be PS Plus users, although I'm sure none of you are, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Although it's the last topic, so stay tuned for the first two anyway. But first, today's video is brought to you by MMORC.com, where you could save money on games for all of your favorite platforms, as well as software like Windows 10 Pro, which you can get for just $15, as well as Office 2019 Pro and Office 365. And if you act right now, you can get an additional 27% off with my code JOK27 at checkout, and that'll knock the price down on Windows 10 Pro from $15.29 all the way down to $11.16. And of course, they accept a wide variety of payment, from PayPal to credit cards to Bitcoin. So be sure to act now and hit up the links down in the description below. First up, let's talk about NVIDIA DLSS, which has been in the news a lot lately. The DLSS and the ray tracing stuff, it seems like we can't go a day without seeing something either from AMD or NVIDIA when it comes to FSR, DLSS, ray tracing, all of this next-gen technology. Very exciting times to see all this stuff starting to come to the forefront from both companies. It means, more broader adoption across the gaming space. So this is regarding NVIDIA DLSS, though, and a leak which says that it should be getting an ultra quality mode. So if you take a look over here, this was actually spotted by a Redditor by the name of Ryan Hardovic, and he spotted an ultra quality mode present in the Unreal Engine 5 documentation. So if you take a look on right here, you could see previously we had ultra performance, balanced, and quality. Those were the only modes that were available. The quality mode running at about roughly 66% of full resolution. So if you're running at 4K, that's probably going to bring you down to around 1440p range. So now it looks like there's going to be a higher resolution option, that called ultra quality, which we could be seeing in future titles, as limits not limited necessarily to just Unreal Engine 5, but in possibly other game engines as well, which would likely be similar to other forms of DLSS in here, just at a higher quality setting or a higher resolution. My guess would be that they're probably going to be targeting like 1800p, let's say. If you happen to be a 4K gamer, it's probably going to be getting somewhere pretty close up to 1800p, basically giving a higher resolution image, which obviously is not going to give you as much of a performance uplift, but it probably still give you some extra frames and probably not cause too much degradation to the image quality as the other settings that we've seen. The quality and balance settings in most games that they've been in have been very good. Performance has been solid. In some titles, the ultra performance one, that one is not that great. That's really recommended only if you're trying to play at 8K, which even NVIDIA recommends. So probably wouldn't use that even at 4K. Unless you just want some ridiculous amount of frames and you don't really care how bad your game is going to look, because it will not look great using ultra performance. But hopefully ultra quality will strike a good balance if people wanted a little bit higher quality resolution over quality setting, but not quite the performance hit of running at native 4K resolution. So yeah, nice that we're going to be getting that in future games, I guess, with DLSS. Maybe they'll introduce it to some older titles as well. Next up, speaking of performance uplifts, Microsoft Flight Simulator is said to be getting an update probably towards the end of July, because that is when the game is launching on the next-gen Xbox consoles on July 27th, and the update number 5 for the PC is expected to launch either on the 27th or right around or right before July 27th. So it should be coming at some point in the very near future, but really the main focus of this update is offloading some of the workload from the CPU onto the GPU and giving gamers a significant performance boost in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This video that you're seeing right here was from a recent live stream on the Microsoft Flight Sim official Twitch stream during an interview where they were going over the key features of Update 5 for Microsoft Flight Sim. And they showed this comparison, first flying over Manhattan on the same exact system in both setups. He was running an i7-9700K and a 2060 Super at ultra settings at 4K, but it says the render scale was at 40, so I'm guessing that means it was 40% of 4K. So what's that, like 1080p? So that's really not that big of a deal, honestly, as far as the comparison is concerned, because it was the same settings and same system in both scenarios. I digress, though. Most people probably wouldn't try to run at 4K on a 2060 Super, but he's using 40% resolution scale, which is fairly low. I think it's like 1080p or something, or maybe even less. But when he's running on the update 4, the older update, you could see his frame rate is generally around the 30 to 40 frames per second, mostly on the lower end of that. And then just by switching over to update 5, his frame rate jumps up into the low 60s. Sometimes does drop down into the 50s. And really the main reason for this is because of the resource management. Now the CPU, which had previously been at 100% load the entire time, is now around like 75%. And the GPU is getting more heavily utilized here, in this case, the 2060 Super. So that is going to help immensely in terms of performance optimization and the issues that we have seen up until now in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because the CPU has been the primary bottleneck getting in the way of the GPU. Even in some cases you could see, both of them being completely utilized, but the GPU just still wouldn't get fully leveraged because the CPU getting in the way on Microsoft Flight Sim. So hopefully with this update, this will resolve some of those issues for people that have been wanting to get better performance on Microsoft Flight Simulator, because as gorgeous as this game is and all of the technical feats that it has in it, really there's no reason for it to be running as poorly as it is. They can get a lot more out of this game engine if they just spend the time to optimize it like they're doing now, sadly almost a year after the initial release on PC. But at least it's here and they're working on it, so that's good news for Flight Sim fans. Last up before we get out of here, just a quick mention for the PlayStation Plus Games of the Month for July 2021. These are going to be available starting July 6th. They do these free every month on PS Plus, and ever since the PS5 came out, they've been doing one game that's usually exclusive to the PS5, and it's usually something that has recently been updated to get better PS5 features, and that is no difference here. PS5 version of A Plague Tale: Innocence, which I tested the PC version on when that first came out. I think it was back in like maybe 2019. Could be 2020. But it was an interesting narrative-driven game set in sort of like French. It was like French, like medieval times. I never finished it, obviously, but it seemed like a pretty decent time. Honestly, it was very beautiful graphics, very visually stunning. So it looks like the PS5 version got an update, going to be getting 4K 60 FPS. And for any PSN owners, whether you have PS4 or PS5, you'll also be getting Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which honestly, the latter of those two, that's the one I'm the most excited to try out, is WWE 2K Battlegrounds, because it's been a few years since I've played a wrestling game, and I know WWE 2K20 got like awful reviews, had tons of bad bugs in it, and I know Battlegrounds also got a ton of really shit reviews, which is why I've never picked it up, and I'm actually excited for the new WWE game to come out later this year. Hopefully they can redeem themselves, because I'm an old school wrestling fan going way back, especially the wrestling games, watching wrestling and playing the wrestling games and stuff. So I'm keen to check out Battlegrounds for free. I didn't want to buy it because I heard it wasn't that great, but I still wanted to play it, so I'm glad now at least I'll get the opportunity to do so. But that is all I've got for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here and enjoy the rest of my day, and I hope you guys do as well and enjoyed this quick little news recap for all of the gaming news going on in the industry here today on July 1st, 2021. Hope everyone has a fantastic day and great 4th of July weekend coming up, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Sorry.